And we're back to another episode of the Stormwater Creek podcast. We're joined by a bunch of people today. This is I feel like this is the powerhouse team. We got
Gathering of the minds.
Yeah, we got we're going to answer all the questions today. So we got Danny and Kyle from Cutting Edge. We got Cable Smith. It's craziness. This is your first time on the podcast, right? We've been on yours,
right?
And it's going to be fun. The usual crew's here. So we're going to be talking about social media and hunting. Should be fun. What do you think, Austin?
It'll be good.
Didn't Lauren say she was done with the ice?
One couple housekeeping things. What's that?
So didn't Lauren say she was done with the ice?
Yeah. They finally got the they got the buzzing issue out, but now there's just ice being made in the background.
How many old fashions did you make?
One of the things I wanted to talk about and make sure we talked about is if you're not, make sure you subscribe to the podcast because we do have a podcast coming up that talks all about the oyster situation going down on the coast with a couple buddies and our buddy Brian Donovan. And also just to jump right into it, nothing that has anything to do with big game, but the new proposed duck change. What do you guys think about that? Good, bad, extending the season out?
You're going to have to educate me. Haven't even seen it. I've been focusing on this new proposal about our gun seasons in Grayson, Collin, where you live, Rockwall.
I haven't seen that.
And
So
good. Oh, I didn't even know this.
Why don't you do that first?
Let's
then we'll go back
start
to
there.
ducks.
Yeah, I didn't mean to derail you.
No, please.
Open
I
forum.
just interviewed our Texas Parks and Wildlife whitetail program leader, Alan Kane, this week. And yeah, they have proposed. It looks like Texas Parks and Wildlife wants it to happen.
Okay.
I'm against it as a
What is the
resident.
proposal? I'm sorry.
The proposal is to have a gun season in those 4 counties, which
Oh.
are all archery only counties.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's straight up gun. It's not like straight wall cartridge or anything like that.
It's a general gun season that will coincide with the rest of the Texas gun season. Yeah. And the blowback from Collin County Archery Association, a bow hunter association, not thrilled about it.
Of course
As
not.
a resident of Collin County, dude, there's urban sprawl. It's going on everywhere. There's less and less land to hunt. The deer are so fragmented. I think it's a horrible idea.
Yeah.
But he did bring up the point. Okay, but you're a landowner, and there are a couple high fence ranches in Grayson County. I don't know of any in Collin County. And he's like, you're a landowner. You don't have the right to manage your whitetail herd because there's no gun hunting. So, we kind of went back and forth, and I said, well, if you had a doe only rifle season, okay, maybe I'm down with that. But I think what would be more effective is you just said MLD properties can gun hunt. And you're talking about a bigger property, right? So it's a big deal, and people are up in arms about it.
I can imagine.
That sounds messy.
It's our nest egg. Why do we have these 200-inch whitetails in really Collin and Grayson?
Yeah.
Every year, a booner, multiple booners get shot. Sometimes, like Chad Jones's 235-inch deer from a couple years ago.
Jesus.
That came out of Farmersville. Like, that is because we're not whacking deer at 5.5 years old.
Yeah.
It's 7.5-year-old deer. So,
or 2.5-year-old deer because it's moved.
I think we're proud of that we're growing these big deer. I think it would change if we just let everyone, Tom, Dick, or Harry, shoot them with a gun.
Free for all.
See, more importantly, do you have any land in any of those counties that I can hunt with a bow? I don't even care.
I leased 20 acres for $5,000 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Did you get a 235-inch deer?
No, I had a 175-inch buck running around there, but dealing with the neighbor's dogs, freaking hot air balloons firing up on the property next to me while I'm in my tree stand.
And they're going to have a gun season in these same counties?
Right.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. So.
I mean,
maybe we should elaborate for people that don't listen to hunting why that might be a bad idea, right? With that many
bullets go a long way.
Bullets go a very long way.
To put it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Grayson County is a little more spread out, not as populated.
But
Collin County?
Oh my gosh.
Dallas County having a rifle season?
Right, there's no way.
We're even talking about that.
Yeah.
I think you made a really good point with the MLD, though. I mean, because they already extend the seasons for MLD properties whenever you're in that whole program and everything. It just makes sense to include, hey, if you are an MLD property, then no matter what the county is, whether you do or do not have a centerfire cartridge gun season, then that's included in your MLD, I guess, rights at that point.
Yeah. Right? I could be talked into that. I don't see a problem with that.
No, not at all.
Just a general gun season.
Yeah.
For sure.
Or a straight wall cartridge, right? So you're shooting, or maybe a shotgun only slugs or something like that. But man, when you got something that's going to go
a 7 mag being fired like 6 blocks outside,
right
off of 15th
imagine
Street.
You could gun hunting on the 20 acres that I leased. I was just be like, it's insanity.
Yeah.
There's a golf course right there. Houses, like it's nuts.
I mean, it's such a weird thing that they would be doing that. It's like, yeah, let's do it, but we can't hunt with a bow at Lake Lavon.
I wonder if there's probably some kind of statistic that goes with this though, of like traffic fatalities and deer and all of that with that growing population. Maybe Texas Parks and Wildlife is all about it for like a very short amount of time to really thin out those numbers. Maybe. I'm just trying to think, like, play devil's advocate. To me, that kind of goes against the Texas Parks and Wildlife, like safety and anything from that perspective. And I don't think that, I mean, from the wildlife folks we work with, they don't, they seem to kind of be all about safety as opposed to this doesn't sound like the safest thing in the world, but it could just be that they need to knock that population down and maybe they're working with like, Department of Motor Vehicles or something.
Better ways to do it, but if that's the case.
Agreed, but maybe that's their motivation.
What would you guys guess the whitetail population is? And they manage those 4 counties together as one population because it's in the same, I guess, unit is what they want to call it.
Yeah.
Or just wild guess.
I mean,
I don't know.
200 deer?
11,000 in 4 counties.
I was saying 10,000.
Wow.
That's what they said. 11,000. That's not a lot of deer for 4 counties, massive counties.
Yeah.
But is it a lot of deer per capita based on
He said it's a deer per
sprawl,
80 acres.
Based on urban sprawl.
That was the reason.
Is a deer per acre, but a deer per acre of what? I mean, just a deer per acre straight divided? Because there's a lot of urban sprawl in those counties, other than Grayson, like you said. Collin County, a lot of urban sprawl.
Can I shoot a deer from the IKEA parking lot?
So 80 acres per deer, right? That's what you said?
That's what he said. For the 4 counties.
That's less than most of your pretty poor whitetail habitat counties.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're in the most rural parts of West Texas where they don't have much browse and all that kind of stuff. It's upwards of 50 acres.
You said 80.
And that's 80 acres per deer.
Yeah.
Still.
That's not a very high.
And the habitat's so fractured too. Like,
right.
They're all concentrated.
Right.
For sure. That's what like the urban sprawl is. It cuts them up. So, yeah, there may be 10,000.
Well, hopefully.
So you'll be paying attention to this. March 9th, there is a public hearing in Grayson County, which I'm sure we will all hear a lot more about. And I bet it's going to get pretty heated.
For sure. I can only imagine.
The gun range right there by my house. What is that? Shit, I forget which one it is. Off George Bush right there.
Do you go to the Garland?
Yeah, Garland gun range. I know they always are like, they're fighting for their lives over there, and it's like, you need to build a berm that touches the sky, basically.
Right.
Like,
hey, you see those nets at Topgolf?
Yeah,
your
exactly.
berm needs to look like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. So it's crazy, man. But just the whole, it's just a city. It's not. I mean, I guess if you go on the other side of 30, like over by the lake, I guess it opens up a little bit. But I mean, you run into Sunnyvale, and then Terrell is right there. So that's, I don't know. I'm with you. Seems like not such a great idea.
I mean, living in Collin County, I just don't. It's
I mean, that's
terrible.
the worst of them. I would think. Collin County of all places is. That's
but
Plano.
yet we grow 220-inch deer every year
Because of that.
Because of
Right. They're wired. They're squirreling.
Yeah.
They've been chased around a bunch.
and they're not being shot with guns.
Yeah.
Constantly, yeah.
Well, yeah, because as soon as you put a gun in someone's hand, that changes the hunt.
Hammer them at 90 yards with a 7 mag.
Yeah.
Well, think about all the hoops you have to go through to hunt in Collin County. So there's not a whole lot of people with huntable land in that county, right? So you're putting in for Lavon, Ray Hubbard, wherever over in these areas, and then on top of that, you've got to hunt.
No, you can't hunt. I don't know. You can't hunt Ray Hubbard either.
You can't hunt Ray Hubbard.
No, and that's what's crazy.
I used to. I mean, this was.
But you can hunt in your
You
backyard.
can't
You
with a
can
rifle.
hunt and duck hunt Lavon. You can't
Yeah.
deer hunt Lavon.
could have swore like 15 years ago.
You're an outlaw then.
No, I didn't personally hunt it, but
Yeah.
I could have swore that
I
you
know
went
a
to the
guy.
Corps of Engineer land or whatever. And,
So you
okay,
like
maybe
said,
not.
yeah, you get the permit.
Well, yeah. To that point, why don't you just open those up?
Well, that's the Army Corps of Engineers, and I think
Sure.
they're just full of shit. Like they don't want it. It's
Yeah,
just a headache and more work for them. They don't want to do it.
And
Same
those
with the
landowners,
There's giant deer there.
Ray
And
Roberts.
there should be hunting opportunity. Just
There-
like in your backyard. On the way here, I'm passing over. I'm pulled up on X. I was like, "Oh, there's deer over here," and I'm like, "Who owns this property?" Right?
Yeah,
Like,
let's-
this isn't far from my house. And then I see that it's grapevine.
There's a pile of deer
Right.
over here.
Oh yeah,
Piles.
You guys have a draw for that. What they should have the same thing on Lake Levon.
exactly.
Absolutely.
It's criminal.
Agreed.
And Ray Hubbard. I mean,
Yeah.
Ray Roberts.
Ray Roberts.
Ray Roberts is in Denton County, so you can rifle hunt over there.
But
you can't hunt deer at
hunt
Ray
deer.
Roberts.
No,
Can
you
you?
can't. I've
Yeah.
seen some nice deer over there.
Absolutely.
Duck hunting.
That's what I'm saying. It's like if you want to thin out deer, I know it's a different county, but there's lots of Army Corps land that's not hunted that could be hunted.
Yep.
Not open up gun season in a metroplex.
Right.
In Plano.
Yeah.
Or Frisco.
in
yeah.
Plano.
Yeah.
Right. So, what about the waterfowl though?
Yeah.
The
So-
duck season stuff.
Yeah, so I guess there was a resolution that was put up that would basically push duck season back till March, end in March, and I guess Trent Lott did this a couple years ago. And there's a bunch of science says that shooting ducks that late in the year can really jack up pair
Bad.
bonding and
Bad plan.
and can hit the numbers. And I'm all about
What about
that.
mid-February?
That's
then we
what
get
I'm
our
going.
snowstorm out.
Right.
Like we can still get the duck.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm
14th. Give us
going.
till Valentine's
Yeah.
Day.
Is
Well, and that was one of the
13th,
things, like
so we can all celebrate Valentine's Day and not get in trouble.
Right.
does the weird weather coming in a lot later nowadays affect them the pair bonding? You know, does that affect it? Like, I'd like
Yeah.
to see the science behind just the pair
Yeah.
bonding. Like, does it happen a little later now? Like, what would
Exactly.
extending the season not interrupt that? Would it still interrupt that? Because then you would start seeing less ducks if you're interrupting the pair bonding. So
Well, I saw a lot of ducks driving over here.
So
Miles,
so
they're
I'm
here
going to
now.
chime in.
now
We
that-
should.
we
They'll
haven't
finally get
seen
pushed
them,
down after
and
season.
all the
As
ponds near where I work over in this area, they're covered.
Yeah.
Covered in ducks.
So out in Ford and Knox County at our place, we're meeting with the biologists, two of them, on Friday, right, Kyle?
Yes.
And we should ask them those questions, right? I mean, if
Yeah.
that's what they're doing, like see what they think
But
about the pair
This
bonding
would
and
have
all
to
that kind
be
of
a
stuff.
Federal.
yeah.
It
proposal.
would be,
Yeah.
be,
You
but
can't even do it on a flyway level. Like
No.
no.
it's a federal framework, and my understanding is Texas ends as late as the feds will let us in.
Yep.
Right now,
Yeah.
today.
That-
This year.
the-
You're
the-
absolutely right.
the treaty or whatever it is that's the latest it can go. But it's like still, I mean, it's obviously no one's going to hunt in North Dakota till March. They don't even hunt past the new year or something.
They
like
would
that,
if
right?
there were still ducks there.
I was going to say,
But their season's closed.
Yeah.
That's why the argument for
Yeah.
this is here.
And
I know.
and that's what
Because
happened this year.
how many times have we set a duck blind in January personally and be like, man, if we just had a couple more weeks.
Uh-huh.
It
I
just
think
always
there's a
gets-
lot of untouched science that needs to be touched.
And
before.
and
I don't think this is an opinion question. I think
Right.
it's a science
no
question.
doubt.
and,
Oh,
and,
no
that,
doubt.
and that's where I'm at. Like, I just want to know the science behind, like, how much longer are we going to extend the season, and will that affect that pair bond?
Absolutely.
As long as they're farming ducks all the way down here, we're going to be screwed in the central. We're eventually just going to have to go to Kansas to duck hunt.
Well,
Yeah.
Shit,
I mean-
east or west,
I
really.
mean, it's,
DFW is just in the no man's
wasteland.
land.
You know, I feel like
but it wasn't like that.
wasn't.
No.
I mean,
They've changed the landscape.
Louisiana, it's shifted over there sometimes.
it's all about that change of landscape. All the
Yeah.
farming has shifted to other things. You look around here, like, now that Onyx has things, like, you can see what's being farmed around here. It's a lot more hay fields and stuff that's not going to attract ducks this way. And you watch the flyways of collars from, like, Delta waterfowl and stuff. You don't see too many colored lines flying towards Texas, towards DFW.
But
You
they
see it
also
all
go to
going-
the coast, though.
Yeah,
That's
you
the
see
thing.
it all flying around us. Yeah.
Well, even that's gotten worse too, because those rice fields outside of Houston, they're not there anymore either.
Nope.
They used to have. Oh, I'm gonna lie now. They're not gonna lie, but it was thousands, hundreds of thousands of acres of rice fields out there now. And a guy quoted it to me down there at Houston Safari Club this weekend, and it was stupid how little of that land is now rice fields. that
Like
was
the
bringing
Katy
in.
Prairie is gone.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's insane.
Which is where that's like where the majority of our snow geese continental population wintered. Not anymore.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a weird thing seeing the change and how much. I mean, but our teal season this year seemed like it was
phenomenal.
better than any teal season I've ever seen, which was odd. And
But
then we had
Here,
during teal season around this area, right
I
here.
gave up teal hunting. I went to jail one time on the way home. The sheriff pulled me over for not. This was at Ray Roberts. State trooper pulls me over. He's like, "You don't have your seatbelt on." I was like, "Yeah, sorry, dude. We just got done duck hunting." And he runs my my license, and I had a warrant from running a red light like 2 years ago in Dallas County, and I was on the way to the dentist to get a root canal. It did not give a shit. I think I'd already taken a hydrocodone.
Yeah.
He pulled me over. I was like, "Dude, I'm in so much pain. Write me the ticket. I don't care." I threw it in the glove box. Totally forgot about it. Then, so I quit teal hunting after that.
Yeah.
Here, anyway.
Bad omens.
Well, it wasn't worth it. I shot one teal and then I went to jail.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I see it, but man, I love teal season, especially this year. We shot
shorts and wading
tons.
boots.
Yeah, we're in fishing pants, wading out in just fishing pants and wading boots, and chilling in a duck blind, shooting ducks. We were blasting ducks left and right, and then we were already counting our chickens before they hatched because we had mallards landing all around us, after they came in that late flight. And we're like, man, this duck season's going to be awesome. And then it just shut off.
Horrible.
The last 2 duck seasons have been the worst I've ever seen.
I mean, we at least had a little
Last year
success
okay.
last year, but this year was just
I didn't hunt last 2 months of it, basically.
And I'm not pointing fingers, but we had guys like literally being like, duck hunting's stupid. I'm done, which are 2 of our hardest duck hunters in the group.
Remember when
one
you
with
point
the dog.
Remember when you point
the dog.
3 point right back at you, Jared.
Selfishly, I'm for it because then I can hunt all of deer season and not worry about trying to get out and shoot ducks, and then get my fill of ducks in between like January and February, and that'll be good.
Yeah.
Selfishly, I'm okay with it, but I have to have the science to back it up.
Yeah.
I think we all agree with that, right?
Yeah.
For sure. If the science says you could hunt through February,
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Absolutely.
No, yeah, and that's where I'm at. I just want to know what the science says, and because, like he said, selfishly, like especially after this duck season, I'm like, I want more of a chance to shoot ducks.
I need to give me just 2 weeks more.
If I could have hunted this morning, I could have killed a limit, no problem.
Oh,
There's a lot of
yeah.
ducks here. Right?
I mean,
I was about to say, I know where ducks are
until the first week
we
of
just had
January.
like a 3-day
I mean, and even then,
Exactly.
we still were at 60 or 70 degrees the 1st of January. It's just,
I was sitting on the platform this morning of one of the Road Tech shuttle buggies looking out at the pond, and there wasn't an inch of that pond that didn't have a duck on it, preening its feathers and rolling around, just taunting me, give me the middle finger, like, you didn't get none of us.
yeah.
You can't.
I think that last time we hunted Ray Roberts, we shot 1 duck. We got 1, didn't we? Or did
Yep.
we-
Yep. Fell right in front of river.
I thought that thing was going to hit us. Came right for us. But just a gadwall, though. I'd take any of it. So let's transition to our main topic here of just like social media and hunting. So what do you take? Social media good, bad for hunting?
Open Pandora's box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, just jumping right into that, right? Just
Yeah.
rip it open, take the Band-Aid off. Let's
It's the
go.
best way to remove a Band-Aid, right? Just no,
Yeah, no foreplay.
exactly. So I mean, personally, I think it's got its advantages and its disadvantages. I think it's very good from a standpoint of helping us get a message out there as hunters. I think it's very good to help new people who are adult onset hunters try to get some information, and who are just trying to figure it out and watching Meat Eater or watching something on YouTube trying to figure out how to do it. I also think that it can change your perspective of being in the woods and being like, I need to do this because I want to get a picture for social media. So I think that's the bad side of it. But I think the good side of it is the ability to share that information out there. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the question, is social media good or bad, is essentially what you're talking about, and how does it affect the hunting industry? And I think it could be said about anything. It's all about how you use it and what you use it for.
Double-edged sword, for sure.
Yeah, and if you're, because there's plenty of opportunities for people to post things that are, I'll just say, distasteful to the hunting industry, right?
Yep.
And then there's also plenty of opportunity to post really positive things and stuff that encourage, ethical hunting practices and things like that. The picture thing, the more I think back on it, having kids of my own and stuff, they'll be able to look back at whatever that social media is and have all of that cataloged in social media. And that's stuff like my grandfather, he's 83, he's been hunting his entire life. And luckily, he's got like
scrapbooks,
whatever you call them. Yeah, like
photo albums.
Yeah. He doesn't have an Instagram page, let me put it that way. He's got a photo album.
I don't either.
You don't use cable anymore.
Yeah, I was just about to say, as long as the platform doesn't can it like cable.
No kidding. Yeah, that's a different discussion, I guess, but we should get into that too.
Yeah, we're going there next. So,
but from that perspective, like you're at least getting an opportunity to catalog all of it, which is neat, right? And you catalog some of the stories and stuff like that. But then there's also people that, they definitely post some distasteful things that you're like, that's not going to do good for the image of hunting in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should just have like a shoot on sight type order. You see the dude who's got the wood duck hanging out of his pants.
Yes,
or anybody put the duck in their mouth. Like, there's no need to put duck in the mouth.
Well, and like the one that gets me is like people drinking a beer down a gutted deer.
Yeah,
stuff like that. I'm like, come on, why are you doing that? Right, and it's like,
there's
no need for that, right? Yeah,
that kind of thing.
I'm not a prude in that way, but at the same time, like that's not going to turn people on to hunting.
Yeah,
and there's plenty of negativity around hunting and guns and all that stuff.
We don't need to give
people more ammunition.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we all appear to be like under 40 years old, right?
Yep.
Ish.
Almost.
I'm 40.
I'll be 40 in April.
Okay, so 40s, 30s.
Yeah.
I'll ask this question: was life better for us as kids, or is life better for our kids today?
It depends on the definition of better.
Just like
face value,
a more wholesome like way of life, and not like I don't want to like go too deep into like teen depression and stuff, but I'm just like looking at society in general.
I mean,
absolutely,
it's degrading. I feel like when I was a kid, it was a better time.
You came home when the street lights were on. You drank out of the water hose.
Absolutely,
I could run around the neighborhood, and
everything was fine.
Absolutely.
I think social media is a big part of that, especially with adolescent girls. And I have two of them. I have 2 7-year-old girls, and I make money. Well, I used to make money until last week off of social media. But like, if I could just say no more social media and just snap my finger, I think I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
I think, and we didn't hear about all these animal rights activists like PETA and Humane Society, where they didn't have a platform before the internet came around.
No.
They didn't. Weird hippies outside the grocery store.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't kill things.
Yeah. Okay. And so we're losing hunters if we
Yeah.
have more people. I don't know. I feel like overall, but it's the dance with the devil, because if you're in this industry, you have to do it. You can't just be like,
I was going to say,
abstaining from social media.
Yeah. In the same way, like I'm the exact same way. Like I've told Kyle and the guys that work for us on the cutting edge staff, I'm like, we have somebody else that manages our social media because I can't stand being on it all the time. Like, but it's a necessary evil in today's society. But I think it's exactly what it is. It's a necessary evil. I don't necessarily think it's a good thing overall.
That's how you get your message out. You cannot do it any other way.
It's the modern day commercial. It's the modern day billboard,
and it's free.
That's a big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to beat. Like, yeah, it's kind of a weird thing for being people who clearly make their way in life using social media to kind of be like, I don't think so. Right. I think that speaks volumes in itself, that it is what it is.
Well, like Cable was saying, I think growing up, I feel like definitely had a better childhood than maybe my nephews do now, because I mean, really, not even just social media technology is just so vastly different. But recently, maybe in the past year, I got rid of my social media, and I'm realizing now I'm in the moment more. We go out and hunt and stuff, and we go duck hunting, deer hunting, and I don't have my phone out to take pictures and that's a cool shot. Like the sun's, stand there and hold that up. I don't do that anymore. I'm hanging out with my friends and enjoying it. It's a nice feeling being present, as opposed to like, I've got to get something for my Instagram.
It's like a burden being taken off your shoulders. Yeah,
and it's it's kind of a like you said, double-edged blade. We have Stonewater Creek, or double-edged sword, whatever you said. Fuck you.
So aggressive.
But that's exactly what happened when I found out my Instagram was deleted. It was this, I guess, last weekend, Saturday, the season closed on Sunday. We're waiting for the sun to come up, and I'm like, I'm going to post a picture of the sunrise just to my story. And I was like, I don't have a page anymore. It was like, that's when I was like, they deleted it over the, in the middle of the night.
So
Didn't we have something that all of a sudden popped up? We didn't even really know about it.
We hit a community guideline issue, and I was like, why can't I post? I can't do something. I'm like, why?
That means you're spreading the truth.
And I got like, I finally was like, oh, let me just log on through the website, and it was like, oh, hey, bro, you're in timeout, you know? And I was like, okay, I promise I won't do it anymore. They're like, okay, you can have access back now.
On Instagram?
Yeah.
Huh. They never put me in timeout. They gave me these these flimsy violations.
We've been in timeout a couple times, but never gotten.
I tried, like, I went through as much of it as I could to try to find, like, where
we went wrong.
Well, not even where we went wrong, but just like even for you. And I want to kind of move to what you're dealing with next. But just like any rules that would say, like, you can't do this or you can't do that. I mean, they obviously don't want you to show nudity. They clearly they do. I mean, they basically do. You can show nudity in terms of childbirth and breastfeeding, which you can, but there's no like you can't do this or you can't do that. It just needs to be don't be offensive. So it's as broad of a thing. Yeah,
it's easier to when you paint a broad stroke. It leaves it up to interpretation. So if they don't like something,
they can take it.
Dedicated,
No. Well, let's hear what's going on with your whole social media, the Instagram thing, and
so I've had like 145,000 followers for like a year. It used to grow. And then February of 2021, it just like flatlined. And that was when I was like, oh, they've shadow banned me. People would search for my page, couldn't find me. They had to type out literally the whole thing, Lone Star Outdoor Show. Like Lone Star Beer would come up before it. A fake Lone Star Outdoor Show page would come up before it, which I reported them to Instagram. That's my logo that they're using. The Instagram never, they're like, sorry, they're not violating community guidelines. That was their response to me over that. So the shadow ban thing was like, it kind of, I'd already soured on it.
Yeah.
But it was still a lot of followers and a pretty good thumbprint. And then I get like all of the infractions were very flimsy. And the terms that they like to use were coordinating harm and promoting crime. And I'm talking about, here's a trail camera picture of a buck that I'm hunting this year. And I said, I'm thinking about shooting this deer. My son shoot it. Only, just kind of concerned if it's going to make the 13-inch inside spread requirement. And they flagged that post. And I don't know if it was because of the language of saying shoot or what. And they said, promoting crime, coordinating harm, boom. I appeal it. Appeal is denied. Strike on your account. I get like 4 or 5 of these. I reposted Parker McCollum. He's been on my show. Country music artist. Shot a mountain lion. And I was like, dude, this is awesome that he is a really big celebrity and he doesn't give a shit what people think.
Yeah.
And I just said, kudos to you for being transparent and standing up for what you believe in and putting it out there. And if people don't like it, whatever. They deleted that for graphic violence. He was just holding the mountain lion. There was a hound by him. No blood. Didn't get deleted from his page, but got deleted from mine. Appeal, no, it stands. The last one that I posted Friday before my page was deleted was of 2 bucks fighting. One of the bucks was dead.
Yeah. And
a guy had shot, it was in Vernon, you hunt in Clay County. So just right around where you are, this guy shot this monster, 160-inch deer. Like when he told me Vernon, I was like, oh, that's really close to where I hunt. That's a great buck. Right. But then this little buck comes out and, as turkeys will do, which I've seen personally many times, like you shoot a turkey, here comes a big swarm of them. They're all trying to whoop its ass, flexing on it after it's dead. Right. Well, that's what this little deer was doing, and he was trying to fight this buck. And I said, congrats to the hunter, took this nice buck, and then got to witness this little deer come out and try to whip its ass. Graphic violence, deleted. And there was no option to appeal, which I was like, that's weird. And then the next day, the page was gone. The only thing that I ever really did that they could say, yeah, this was a violation is I called, I think it was Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. I was like, they did this basically rubbing their vaginas together on stage at the Grammys. And I was like, I pointed out, I said, look at what these whores are doing. And Instagram's letting them put this out on their platform.
That's fine.
And they've deleted that and said I was bullying. So
I did. We did get a bullying thing. Oh, I think that's what it was, where we said something about like something that innocuous completely, and it definitely seems subjective. And I'm the only thing I can imagine is it's got to be you hit. They've got some algorithm that goes and searches through everything,
spots,
and then once you've made the list, there's probably somebody, and you had
you're less than favorable.
Well, it had to be with that mountain lion post, because there was no language, like it didn't say dead or shoot or kill or anything in there that would have flagged through the algorithm. And so it was a person, or people reported it, and then a person looked at it. So anyway, the page is gone. The shitty thing is, like, there's no recourse. I've appealed every day. I've sent the same email through their help, whatever. There's
not picking up. There's nobody to call.
I've got SCI's legal team on it. They're like, we can't get a contact at Facebook. I've got people who previously, like, my Instagram or my Facebook page was hacked like 4 years ago. And this I think it was an Asian culture somewhere was putting like softcore porn on there every day. And they omitted me as an admin, and I was like, I'm just watching my page disintegrate here. So this guy Chuck Rossi, he helped me get the page back, and I've been talking to him, but he's no longer with Facebook. He's like the people that replaced him are like 2 times removed, and he's like, he's trying to help me. There's people trying to help, but how do you get in touch with a company that doesn't want to? Doesn't want to care or have any motivation. Right.
You're talking about a company. Have you seen their compound they have over on 170? It's like double fence. Like there's a fence and then like a gap and another fence and this like no windows, huge building. It's like ridiculous looking.
Sounds terrible.
It looks like something the government would do.
They've got enough. They got 6 or 7 2,000-gallon diesel tanks. Enough generators run North Texas.
Yep.
They could have ran North Texas last year.
Lockheed Martin. The
so that was mighty neighborly of them. Not
right here. Like 5 miles from here, if that. Really, really weird.
I mean,
they're not just running social media.
I didn't know what it was. Like, there's no words on the outside of the building. You really don't know what it is. And it is a Facebook facility that is just looks like something like you said. It looks like should be Lockheed Martin or someone that's running defense contracts for the government, like
designing missiles. You know, to be shot at somebody.
It looks like harder to get into than Area 51, man.
There are fewer fences around an F-35 than there are around Facebook. That's what I'm learning from this right now.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
And the fences around the F-35 are chain link. And
you just like take them down with a decent set of bolt
Now, there's
cutters.
plenty of cameras that if you did that, I would not recommend that by any means. But
no, sure.
I assume
not
that
promoting
it would happen.
No, definitely not promoting.
Wink.
But
sure, just win.
I'm
and then
promoting
how
it for
would the
Facebook.
outdoor
Do it to
community respond to that? Like, do we? And this is where I'm at right now because I'm struggling to. If I get the page back or not, that's fine, whatever. But I'm not going to be the last domino. Chuck said he has not seen a page with over 100,000 followers not get a hearing or a review from an actual person.
Yeah.
He said, I would be surprised if you don't get your page back. He said, but I can't promise you anything.
It's just an uphill battle.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I don't get it back, do we decide as an outdoor community, hey, cable, stormwater, whoever, do we rally around this because it's wrong? And do we say, hey, go follow their new page or whatever it is that we need to do to make sure they don't get canceled? Do we do that? Or is everyone like, oh, sorry, dude, at least I still have my page. Fuck you. Where are we at as a community?
I think it's definitely rally around each other.
I haven't seen it yet, but I haven't asked. So I haven't called on any favors.
That's what you want to happen?
That's what I would like to see happen.
He's asking the opposite. What do you think will really happen?
I'm saying you're going to have... this is when you find out who your friends are.
Yeah.
Sure. You're going to see a lot of people. And this happens with cancel culture now. You don't hear from people. You're not going to hear from people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's just kind of how it goes. And it goes to show just how shitty people are and kind of selfish folks are. Yeah.
Oh man, that sucks. Okay,
That's
to make my next post.
I'm afraid that might be the reality. I hope it isn't. I haven't called on the favors yet because I want to see if I can get this page back before promoting the backup page. But I'm also like, fuck Instagram. What's the next? Move on to the next thing. But then SCI and Chuck were like, then Instagram, then social media and big tech win.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but right now I'm beating my head against the wall, trying to even find a person to look at my case. And if no one's willing to help me do that, then I was just a man on an island. Tells me all I need to know about this industry, and it kind of, and I'm not saying it's there because I haven't asked for the favors.
Yeah.
I hope I don't have to, but if I do and they don't come, Because I'll be the first one to like, I don't care. You want to delete that guy? Fine, then you're gonna have to delete me too.
Yeah,
and you can't delete all of us.
And that's the biggest thing I think is just, there's too many. It's too big of an industry that if people just got the word out, that it would grow and get out there, and people they'd have to take notice of it and at least give you the the day in court, if you will, to defend yourself from it.
So going back to what we were talking about earlier, with social media being the necessary evil, how do you get the word out there if you're not going to use social media to get the word, or if you can't in your situation, how do you get the word out there? What are the other avenues how you get other people to rally around you? I'm not saying don't do it. I just love to play devil's advocate to that, right?
So I guess what I should have done a long time ago was compile an email list.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Hey, how do we do this? Let's sign this. Let's all rally around that. I would jump on that in a heartbeat. It's more how do you go about getting everybody, like how do you go about getting your message out, just like marketing or advertising or anything else, without social media today? Yeah. And it's a sad necessary evil, but I agree. Like, how do we rally everybody around it and say, okay, we're not going to use social media anymore because they're censoring whatever, all the other bullshit that they've got.
Or go the other way and say, yeah, you know what? We dare you to cancel all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to do that? You want to cancel 10% of the population?
Let's see what happens
of your North American. Instagram's a global thing, but
right, but
they don't want to lose that demographic, even though they don't like what we stand for.
And as much as it
sucks,
a lot of
ad revenue.
I think the fact of the matter is that as much they are a private business, and I believe that private businesses should be able to control what they want. But at some point, you are no longer a private business. You should be held to a higher standard.
If you can influence elections, you're not a private.
Yeah,
anything.
no,
right.
Exactly. So you need to be able to at least have a pathway for, okay, Instagram brings these things up and says, hey, what you're posting does not follow what we want us to do. Okay, well then give me that path to at least combat that and talk through it and say, okay, when I said shooting, I wasn't saying go shoot a school up. I wasn't saying go do this or shoot a mall or do this. I was saying like shoot a deer, which is not violent.
It's not a crime either.
Yeah,
which is what they said I was promoting.
100%. So I just think they are too big, and there needs to be some framework that comes out around it. But like I said, they influence elections, so there's a lot that has got to get fixed there first. So
yeah. Well, and the other thing is, like, I'm not going to be the last domino to fall. Like, they're not going to. I'm the first one. I know that there's gun pages, specifically gun pages, that have been shut down for selling firearms, for repeatedly trying to skirt around the rules and sell firearms. Okay, I get it. I didn't break their rules.
Yeah,
I didn't, and they're not going to stop with me. So they might make an example out of me, but the writing's on the wall. Like, it's going to keep happening. They're not going to just be like, oh, we messed up there. No, it's only going to go one direction, and the shit's going to flow downstream, and it's going to end up on all of us.
It's going to end up getting worse and worse. And pretty soon,
wait till the midterms, dude.
I'm sure.
That's when I noticed I was starting to get shadow banned, because it wasn't hunting stuff. It was, I think it was they were picking up on my political views and being like, "Fuck this guy."
Yeah, he doesn't support our ideology.
We're going to suppress what he has to say.
Some dude sitting at a cubicle in, Silicon Valley, like, oh, really? Man,
true.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I do think the midterms are going to be interesting, and then it's going to be an interesting next 2 years or so in the political landscape.
I'll just put this out there. I hope Trump does not run.
Agreed.
Because Biden's problem is he's freaking old and he's got dementia, and Trump would be 81 or something like that. And he's sharp as a tack.
Yeah.
If he ran, I'd be forced to vote for him. We need younger people.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so, and also Trump is so divisive. He's toxic. Like, I think he was a good president, but he was also freaking hot lava that was so toxic.
Yeah.
That people voted for Biden because they didn't want to vote for Trump.
Exactly what I was about to say, like we were talking about a second ago. I would say a majority of the people who voted Biden weren't voting for Biden, they were voting anti-Trump.
Right. Like that before dinner, that was a question I was asking, is like, people that, not the anti-Trumpers that voted for Biden because they just didn't like Trump. True, like, Biden I believe in Biden because of what he stands for. And all that. do they still stand behind all that? Like,
And his 33% approval rating?
yeah, right. I mean, and that's bullshit too.
I've yet to meet someone that has not said anything about voting for Biden. I meet people and they're like, I voted for Biden because I'm just so glad that Trump is gone.
Right.
Like that's all. That's their argument. Their argument is Trump was gone because I hated Trump, and at least the lesser of two evils. And I bring this up a lot, and it's still one of the greatest South Park episodes ever. Is the election one by the between a douche and a
Don't look
turd
at me. I
sandwich.
have no idea.
It's great because
That's
what,
exactly what it is.
well, and that's what we're getting into. You see it more and more every election. It's just like you're like at first you're like, okay, I can kind of see it. It's funny, and then like every election you're like, yeah, it's between a douche and a turd sandwich. Like everyone's just voting on whether or not you want a douche or a turd sandwich. I don't care who it is. I'm not saying anything against either one of the guys. One's normally a douche and one's a turd sandwich. Like, which one do you want? Like, it's
I'll
the
go
way
with
it is.
the one, the douche or turd that I agree with 60% of their stuff.
Right.
6% of that time, it works every time.
Right.
I'd like if somebody ran on the platform that we will no longer have $4 a gallon gas. Landslide election.
I put one of my stickers on the pump yesterday.
Yeah, it's so great.
I love
such
those
a great.
stickers.
I did that.
I giggle every time I see one, and especially now I see ones like you can see like the remnants of a sticker near it, and you're like, I know it was there.
Yeah.
It was there, and I know it pissed somebody off.
Yeah.
It makes me feel even better.
Yeah,
Somebody
one of the
got out of their
33%
car.
pulled it off.
Yeah, somebody got out of their car, picked at it. How dare you, people? I'm excited to see. I'm always intrigued by the political game, and just what's being played. I got to think DeSantis is right now the guy that we should.
I like him.
I do too.
A lot.
He makes a lot of sense. He's going to be middle of the road. I think that's the guy you go with. Like I said, Trump.
Why are all these people moving to Florida and Texas?
Exactly.
Right. That's all you need to know.
Exactly.
This freedom smells good.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely tell that. I really feel like the country is definitely a pendulum, right? And I feel like
Always has been.
it's swung one way, and people are starting to be like, what the hell? I mean, we went to California for a wedding, and right outside of San Francisco, and it's just talking to them. They're just kind of like, it's just too much. It's just too much. They're just like, we get it. We want to help people out. We don't want people to be homeless. We don't want to, but enough's enough, right?
Nobody wants that.
Yeah, I mean,
like woke, getting too woke.
That's
woke at all. Just
I think they get a bad rap because I really do think that the left, their heart comes from a good place. Like who isn't a humanitarian? Who wants to see people suffering? Right.
Absolutely.
The implementation of how do we fix that? They fuck it up every time. They do. I mean,
I don't think they have any actual intention at the higher levels to implement change.
Right.
It's
Otherwise,
a
Biden
selling
wouldn't have come out. We wouldn't see the headline yesterday.
Crack pipes.
$30 million for crack pipes and drug kits. All he needs to do is he could just go raid his son's stash and get half of them taken care
guy.
Yeah. Oh, it's a selling point.
But it was based off of the claim was racial equity. All you're doing, if you enable people to keep smoking crack, is oppressing them. You're not helping them.
Widening the divide.
You're keeping them down.
Yeah. Like you're widening the divide and keeping who's down.
And the couple people that might come out of that because they say, hey, I can't do this legally and I need to get straight with my life and all this kind of stuff. Now they're going to have an open invitation to go do that and not have any motivation to get away from it because they cannot do it legally.
Like free crack pipes. I don't think even this room's going to go, you know what I should start doing since it's free?
Crack. I'll tell you what.
Speak for
Let's
yourself.
smoke some crack and shoot some ducks.
You're just keeping
Some East Texas
down.
It's my patriotic duty.
Absolutely.
It's free basin. Go head out on a boat. Just stay in the hole all night, man. That's the way you can beat the Arkansas boat races. Just do a bunch of crack, get out there and stay out there, and live in the woods. So, it's just crazy.
What is the going back to duck hunting? We've gotten, and I've enjoyed. I like talking about this stuff. So,
welcome to Stormwater Creek.
Yeah.
What is the legal time? So, like on Ray Roberts, you technically are not supposed to spend the night out there on campsite.
Sure.
designated
you
spots.
yeah.
I've had park rangers when I was going to school at North Texas. I scheduled my classes so I could go duck hunting before school. And many times we'd spend the night out there, especially on the weekend. Park ranger would come and be like, "You guys can't spend the night out here." And we were drinking beer and stuff. He's like, "You can't be drinking beer either." We were like, "Okay, well, we'll put the beer away, but we're not spending the night out here. We're saving our spot for duck hunting." And then he'd kind of look like confused and be like, "Well, I don't really know when you can."
That's a big gray area, isn't it?
That's a good question. Though. Like, if you never fall asleep, is it?
If you don't know, then we're not leaving, and we didn't. And he was like, "All right, we'll put the beer up."
All right.
I'm just curious if anyone even knows what the rule is on that.
That's a good point. I can say there's a public lake near here you can hunt, evening hunt. It's one of the few. It's not a lot of people know about, I don't think. And
I've been to that lake.
Huh? Yeah.
Great. Now another person knows. Thanks.
It's not hard to figure out.
Couple Google searches.
The ramp I use says ramp hours start at 8 a.m. But
8 a.m.
What am I doing with that?
Even if fishermen doing with that?
Even if I'm going fishing,
you missed the bite. Yeah. Over.
Yeah. So.
And then like, what if you have a slip at a marina? Then what is that like? You just put your boat in there, and what's the 8 a.m. rule matter at that point?
Yeah. I think it's ramp usage, but there's no gates or fences or anything around this ramp.
Well, then you wind up in a place like Arkansas where they have that 4 o'clock.
Oh yeah,
freaking
boat races
start where it's
and there's certain buebuoys.
People getting seriously
this buoy
hurt.
by 4, this buoy by 5, or whatever. Yeah,
they're getting better about
different.
it. A bunch of the bigger WMAs have gotten it where you have to get in line. Then they let you go out one at a time, and you can't go, like you said, you go checkpoint buoy, and then you can hit full blast. But so they've cut down on a lot of that. But there's some that are still just like,
get it.
Everybody you can't go until this time, and then everybody just goes. And I've seen some of that. I'm just like,
well, I've already walked in, and I'm spending the night on my spot. So.
Yeah. You're already there. You got a little hammock in the flooded timber. Huh?
Park ranger would be damned.
Yeah, exactly. Come and get me.
But that is a really good point. Like, where does the line become? Other than maybe midnight,
jug lines.
Right.
I was running jug lines.
I was.
I'm not gonna lie to the guy. I'm just gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna duck hunt tomorrow. You tell me when I can be here. And he's like, I don't know when.
That's interesting. He didn't have an answer. Like, they should have an answer for that.
If you have
a law around it, you should have an answer for it.
Definitely not in there.
I was going to say the gross amount of hunting information that is sitting in this room right now, and nobody's like, I don't know.
Nobody knows that.
Nobody knows. Like in the outfitting industry, we try to pride ourselves on the idea that we know a lot of because you have to, right?
Sure.
Like people are coming in, like you need this license, you need that.
It's our responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. It's our responsibility to know that. But then you look at it and you're like, hold on, I've never. With as nerdy as it sounds, I literally will read through the outdoor annual every year just to make sure that because there's always little changes here and there and nuances. I've never come across something that says, okay, 5 a.m. is the time or whatever, right? Or 2 a.m. or whatever you want to call it. So that's a really good point.
If I had to guess, I would think there's no time. It's not like DFW's duck hunting mecca. Like there's many thought put into it at the TPWD level.
Yeah.
There's shooting hours, sure. Absolutely.
And we've already established that this podcast will eventually be silenced and banned anyway, so no one's going to hear this conversation anyways.
Exactly. Yeah. So this won't exist in
I feel like if a
months.
game warden rolled up on you and you were sitting in a duck hole with a duck boat in waders, or even if you're just in your boat and clearly you're like, okay, you're a duck hunter, and it's like, dude, it's 10:30 at night. What are you doing out here?
Going to be cruising the duck hole.
Yeah,
at 10:30
exactly.
At night. There's nothing for him to do there.
Most of the game wardens I see drive their boat up to the boat ramp and then just sit there and wait for you to come in.
Absolutely.
Like these guys are going to come right here because there's a truck and a trailer here, so they're not going out there.
Or just a random game warden that shows up with binoculars way away and just kind of looks at you and then waits for you and is like, I know that was y'all.
You guys are okay. Yeah, when they start to know you at the boat ramp, that's when you know I have a duck hunting problem. It's like, hey man, how you doing? I guess just kind of moving on. There's something I wanted to talk about that wasn't on my list here, but now I've gone blank. Dang it! Oh well.
I'm surprised.
Exactly. There's not much going on up there.
I just want to point out that Abe said school shooting, so this podcast probably.
Oh, it's already banned. Yeah, the FBI agent listening is already flag this one.
They'll take it out of context and they'll be like, "Look what these guys are promoting."
Exactly. Clearly,
is that what the sirens were outside?
yes, exactly. That's what it was.
Not up here.
Yeah.
School shootings are good.
They saw some
Big
kid
buck
might
down.
have some weed on it.
No,
like,
that's
the
bad.
extent of it.
Nope.
I remember what I wanted to say now. So did you listen to the Matt Ranella, Steve Ranella argument?
I
that
knew we were
occurred?
going to get into this at some
We
point.
had
Yeah.
to.
We have
Yeah,
to.
I
mean,
have
that's
not listened to it. No,
Oh, so you're missing out on some nuggets of goodness.
Yeah. Two brothers fighting over.
Steve shuts it down saying, "This is my fucking show."
Are you serious?
Yeah.
He
to his
says-
brother.
He says, "At the end of the day, this is my podcast."
Well,
He says, "Fucking."
Yeah.
and what bothers me is like Matt. Is Matt his younger brother, older brother? Do we know? Older brother.
Older.
Okay, so his older brother like gets on the podcast, starts talking, and talks about how he hates social media influencers because all they do is basically overcrowd hunting spots.
I read his article that he wrote.
Yeah, so he
It
basically
got pulled, didn't it?
and so he
It's back.
This was the first article that he wrote.
The second one got pulled
when
before I could
Outdoor
read
Life
it.
responded with all 4 of their editors saying we don't agree with this, blah blah blah. That was like, I don't know, 18 months ago when he wrote that, and it was the same message. Stop taking new people hunting. It didn't really attack social media influencers much. It was there's too many people at my hunting spots was the message.
The R3 thing.
And
right?
and to me, what that says is like I have 2 real big issues with that. One, not with that, but with his podcast. One was like he's saying you're overcrowding my hunting spot. Well, first off, you're hunting public land, so fuck you.
It's my spot
Yeah,
too.
my spot too.
Everybody's spot.
But at the same time, he's like all that means is that there's more people out there. They're probably new hunters, which means they probably don't know that you've got to go so many miles back. You got to go this way. You got to go that way. It just means you got to be a better hunter. It's just another challenge for you as a good hunter, and it's an opportunity for you to kind of speak into new hunters and be like, hey, or if you want to be an asshole and be like, no, I'm not helping you, fine, and go out and do your thing. But then he complains about social media influencers, then gets on his brother's stage, his brother's podcast, uses his brother's podcast to spread his message about don't hunt. I don't want to use social media influencers for promoting social media, so I'm going to bad talk it. And then bitches about, well, I drove 3.5 hours. I've got more to say, Steve. You got to let me say what I need to say. And like he's saying this the whole time to Steve, and Steve's like just shutting him down the whole time. He's like, no, like we're not going to get into this anymore. And to me, I was like fuck you, Matt Ranella.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to say that. Like it's like,
Did anyone read the Free Range American article that he wrote before it got pulled down? I never saw it.
No.
No, I missed
did
it.
not get
I
to it.
tried
want
to
to
find
read
it.
that.
Yeah, me too.
If it got yanked within from what I understood, like hours
Yeah.
of being posted,
Quickly.
then it must have been pretty scathing.
I know he had
I
a big
heard somebody
problem with
post-
R3. That was
I
the
saw
biggest
somebody
thing.
post about it, and I went to find it, and it was gone.
Yeah. I never even saw screenshots of
so
it.
Cable, another one you got to listen. So listen to Steve's and listen to Blood Origins podcast with him. I've got they send it to me because I posted a big thing on our social media about it and like just asking people for opinions. And then Blood Origins commented on it. It was like, hey, listen to ours. And so I listened to theirs too. Same thing, right? All the same. Like his message is very consistent. He does not want more people hunting, period. We have enough hunters in America. And when the hunting heritage dies with our generation, it shouldn't continue. That's almost how it made it sound.
idiotic.
Yeah.
Does he have kids?
I
No.
don't know.
No.
He's a
No.
hermit that lives in Alaska by himself.
Him and his wife live in
He's-
separate towns.
Is it
Okay.
Is it a
Well,
wife
you know
or is it
what?
a
Yeah,
husband?
That guy, he doesn't
Yeah.
represent the 90% of American hunters, which is all about. I mean, what's the most important thing to me? Taking my kids hunting.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't get it.
Side note: that article is back up on Free Range American, and they have kind of a little snippet in the beginning.
On the spot reporting.
Yeah,
He's our
Jamie.
Jamie.
Yeah.
they
That shit up,
Jamie,
Jamie.
pull that
they
shit
had
up.
put it up 2 weeks ahead of time, and they wanted to release the article when that
Oh
media
my
podcast
gosh.
came out.
That's called
So-
backpedaling.
Yeah, kind of seems like it, but it is on Free Range American right now.
Save it.
We got some
Screenshot
homework.
it.
Yeah.
Just in
Dude,
case.
Add it to the show
A book
notes.
report.
Yeah.
A book report.
Well, and not just that, but the other thing that I think we brought it up last time we talked about this is he also says that he has a number of how many hunters he wants, and it's 50% less of what's right now. And it's like, what does that mean? Like who gets to pick? Who do you take out of the who doesn't get to make the cut?
Yeah.
Of the 50%.
Yeah, Thanos could snap a finger. Or
Yeah.
how do we choose this?
Purge. Last man. Last 50
Last
standing.
man standing
Yeah.
in a public land area.
I'm
game with
I
that.
know where to get. I know
The
where
most
to get to be
what is
safe.
that? The most dangerous game?
Yes.
What?
Exactly.
Let me ask you this: what is the point of being a conservationist with the mindset of, well, hunting just dies with our generation.
Yeah.
I don't even understand that.
Yeah, then you shit on the whole model.
We can barely.
Why even bother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These.
Let's just kill them all, the animals.
Yeah, just nuke it all and be done with it. You know.
With that mindset, well, let's just shoot them until they're gone.
Yeah.
Because who cares? I don't care about the next generation. That's just idiotic.
Yeah.
Back to market hunting. Let's finish it.
And the sale of licenses is what keeps all of this alive. So you want more people to hunt for no other reason. If you just buy a license and you go out one time, awesome.
There were years in college, and you guys are probably going to hate me for this, maybe, because I just didn't duck hunt a whole lot growing up, right? I know I'm in a room with a bunch of duck hunters.
I was sleeping at the lake.
So, yeah. Yeah. But I would still buy my duck stamp every year. Like, that was just my, whatever at the time, $24 at the time or whatever it was, towards, like, that's just my donation to federal wildlife stuff, right? I still buy a public license, and we've got our ranch and we hunt plenty on that, and so I don't hunt public anymore, but I still buy a public tag because that money still, in my opinion, is like going back into conservation. I mean, maybe that's a stupid way of looking at it, but if the same thing,
the
like
best way.
Not one bit. I don't know why that would be something that we would be mad about.
Well, because I didn't duck hunt. That's what I mean.
No.
Lots of people buy duck stamps.
But that being said, like,
people collect them.
I tell people all the time, like when they ask me what license to buy, I'm like, and if you don't mind losing $25-$30, buy a duck stamp, because all it does is just generate that money,
right? And same thing with new hunters, right? And how many times I would say that this room is full of a bunch of semi-successful, I won't go super successful, semi-successful hunters at the very least, right? As a new hunter, how many times are you going to go out? And I mean, I've eaten tag soup multiple times, right? With elk tags and deer tags and stuff like that. You go out and you try. So same thing, like if you're just increasing the hunting revenue, that's only a good thing. Yep. And you take hunting away from a state like Montana or Colorado or something like that. What happens to the trickle-down economics of that entire economy in that area? Right, like Silverthorne, Colorado, it's also where like all the big skiing areas are. But right before skiing season is hunting season.
Yeah,
and you wouldn't know it, but like that whole area, and you drive through there, it's nothing but hunting rigs, and everybody's coming out of Silverthorne and just hitting the mountains. That's kind of the first big town on I-70 coming out of Denver. It's nothing but hunting rigs. That economy, that little town, thrives off of it. I mean, it's, to me, you need that economics.
Open in Antonito every year.
Well, and it's not public hunting, but you drive through the hill country. I have 2 places I go to in the hill country to hunt, and you drive through those little towns, and there is a banner across every main street going through there that says, "Welcome hunters."
Yep.
Because all they want you to do is stop through their town, because that's what you do. There's a little
energy
general
drink,
store that
breakfast, lunch, dinner,
grab a little barbecue somewhere along the way.
Like, and that's what I'm not saying it keeps those towns alive, but I guarantee that pays for some freaking Christmas presents around hunting season. New hunters coming in, especially for open weekend. And that's when they make their big money.
Like our place, the taxidermist we use, there's 2 taxidermists in town there in Seymour. And the one that we use is significantly more busy than the other one, Shoemate Taxidermy. And hunting season, like they do a bunch there, and they've got a little shop, and they've got, they're an FFL, and they have guns and stuff like that that kind of keeps them alive, I'll say, through the season, or excuse me, before season. But then hunting season comes in. They've got like 7 or 8 people in there, and all they're doing is taking in deer, putting tags on them, fleshing out hides, whatever it is. Like I can't remember the number, but like opening day of deer season, Sherry, she's also our ranch manager and cook, makes the best cobbler you've ever had. When you guys come out, definitely, she's making us some
cobbler.
But she told me, like, on opening day, I think they took in like 64 deer or something like that on opening day. It was insane. And they had, by the end of the season, like over 400 deer, and it's her husband and her that are the main taxidermists. And then they've got their 2 apprentices underneath them. And like that little town, and then you got Baco, right, the big meat processor there. Baco also does all the cows and everything else, so they do all right. But during hunting season, you'll open up their walk-in freezer. I've got a picture of it. I think they had to have had 60 deer, 70 deer laying in that walk-in freezer. Like they don't. They ask you not to bring them in skinned because they can't get to them. They've got so many coming in, and like little towns like that thrive on hunting industry.
And then you go, like, you're talking about like processors that are doing crazy. Like opening a rifle, me and my wife decided we'd just run down on Sunday to take our deer to Kubi's, which is one of my favorite processors. And there was a line like around the block waiting to get into Kubi's to drop a deer off, and that's right in the middle. And I talked to the guy that was running the place, the back dock, to drop deer off. And he says they hire a bunch of new hands just for deer season, just to take in how much they do. So there's a bunch of kids, but that's a good, job in the middle of the year.
An awesome job to have.
Absolutely.
School for a kid. I mean, like that's just more economy going through. I mean, like
Baco's the same thing. Like they'll have a bunch of high school kids are probably from 16 to 18 years old, something like that. And there's 5 or 6 of them, and they're just in the drop-off line, and they're out there. They've got all their tags. You pull up, let your tailgate down. They slap a tag on it, write down what you want. They're cash only, cash or check only. So you give them a $100 deposit. They walk away with everything, give you your slip, and on top of that, they'll take that many deer in, and they'll have them out in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, they don't guarantee 2 weeks or anything like that, but I've never waited longer than 2 weeks for a deer from these guys. And it's good stuff. Like, we serve it at the ranch all the time. We serve that jalapeno cheese summer sausage.
It's hard to beat that.
I do know in Fredericksburg, a lot of the orchards during deer season, they're obviously not selling on the roadside stands for peaches and stuff. I know a lot of them rent out to guys to butcher deer and do a small game processing in the off season. So you're helping farmers out and all that stuff in those little areas. So I mean, it's just that much more
symbiotic relationship.
It's crazy the amount of economy people don't realize goes on in the back of hunting, and I love it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, talking about symbiotic relationships and farmers, like our ranch, we've got wheat fields all around us, and we've got North Wichita River runs. We got 2.5 miles of it that runs right through the middle of or I'll say the second third of our property. We can't keep pigs off of it. Okay. But the wheat farmers around us are like, anytime you guys want to come over and bring hunters, like they're literally like, we'll pay you to come over and shoot pigs. And we're like we kind of flip the script on them. We're like, well, no, let's work out a deal that's good for everybody. And they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. And all of a sudden you get thousands of acres opened up to you to come out and shoot pigs because they're like, they're tearing up our crops. So like anything in the hunting industry from that perspective, I think you start taking away from some of that, and you're affecting multitudes of people. You're not just affecting hunters.
Yeah. Did you guys ever, I don't think it was as bad this year, but I also understand deer harvest was down this year compared to last year. But I knew that there were processors last year that just stopped taking deer.
Yep.
Baco was almost there.
Because there was just we can't take any, we don't have any more room. So silver lining from COVID, right? More people were hunting, trying to put more meat in the freezer. Also more free time, like you're working from home. I mean, people were hunting, despite what Matt Ranella wants. I mean, I think it's a great thing.
Absolutely.
So if there was one good thing for us as a community, I mean, and from Texas to Idaho always has leftover elk and mule deer tags, and there you could go hunt through Thanksgiving and then get a December late season elk tag, sold out within hours last year, completely sold out. So.
One thing I wish we would adopt more of in more states, and I want Texas to do it also. And I can't remember the state that does it. It might be Iowa or Illinois, something like that. But they do you just go into these, it's kind of like a donation center. They will give you a doe tag in there, but you are not allowed to take that doe meat home. You shoot that doe and you bring the doe back, and they take that and they give it to homeless shelters or orphanages or whatever, and they use that meat to feed more people. Like things like that, I think would help a ton. I think we should. I think we should see more of that kind of stuff too.
I know in Texas, and there's a lot of processors too that donate their time for that, but you can drop off. You have to use one. You have to burn one of your own tags,
right?
And I get what you're saying, but
Baco charged me $70 to donate this year.
No really? Kidding.
Yes.
Do you use Baco?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Shot a doe. With how do you say it? Pavur? Yeah. My buddy Greg Pavur, I shot it with him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know they'd charge you. I mean, I get it, small town, and they're trying to make their money. It's a dying town, but at the same time,
I know a lot of guys that donate deer, and we talk about it on here, and all these guys, like when I say it, but we do an orphan hunt where we bring orphans out to our deer lease, and we take them out hunting, and basically everything's donated. We have a processor near. I hunt in San Saba. There's a processor near there that takes them all in, does all the stuff for the kids, makes them jerky, all that stuff, and then everything goes back to the orphanage to feed all those kids.
So on another time, let's talk about that, and I'll jump in on that with you at our place.
It's a group called Operation Orphan. Is the actual group that does it. We donate our time for that. I'm a guide for it. It's one of the greatest times I've ever spent in hunting season.
We've kind of been beaten up on Matt, and I'm just going to say that he makes a good point on one thing, in my opinion, and that is that one of the biggest drivers away from the sport right now is the fact that the hunting, not pressure necessarily, but the opportunities, right? Because there's more people out there and the land is staying the same. So he makes a good point in that drives a lot of people away from it. But my question is how do we make that pie bigger? Everybody's fighting for their piece of the pie. But my question is, and what I've been trying to figure out myself, is how do we make that overall pie bigger so that we can then bring more people in to where it's not pushing people away or bringing more people in.
You're talking like opening up more,
having more opportunity in general. Yeah. Because I hunted Colorado last year, and due to wildfires and COVID, I hiked back in there 6.5 miles, and I was still surrounded by pumpkins because it was third season rifle, and that it was a place where years past there was not anybody else, and it was covered up.
That same area where we went.
Yes, yeah. and it's frustrating, and it makes you not want to go back, and it makes you not want to hunt that area and all that kind of stuff. And I could see where new hunters would drive them away. But how do you?
Well, yeah, but that's where organizations like RMEF and SCI and stuff like that, people that are trying to open up more public land there, also, it's a good thing. Like on the RMEF side, like everything they've done in Kentucky and reintroducing Kentucky elk and opening up all of the public land. And I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think they opened up something like 9 million acres or something like that last year alone or something. I don't quote me on that, but it was a lot. It was a significant amount of like landlocked public land that nobody could get to because it was surrounded by all private land. Yeah. And they started buying some of this up to where you had access to it. So I think things like that help with some of that. Not to mention you're going to have massive.
Isn't there a big case going on right now with corner hopping?
Absolutely. That's what I was just about to say. Is that corner crossing alone would open up millions of acres.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Done right there. Drop of a hat.
I mean, Trump opened up a ton of properties.
Always one of those things that nobody wants to talk about. You know,
I like to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we all do here. But
we know based off of your canceled Instagram.
Don't get us canceled.
Yeah, man.
I thought you said you weren't going to invite him because you didn't want to get canceled.
No. Hey, look, at this point, like, cancel us. Let's do it, you know, because we'll all join in together.
You think it's been wheels off before?
Yeah.
It's almost, in our industry, it's almost a badge of honor to get canceled, right? You're like, all right, I'm finally, finally reached enough to where I'm doing things right.
Doing something right.
I don't know, Cable. Is it a badge of honor?
It's kind of a pain in the ass for you right now.
Yeah. I'm undecided. Yeah, but
see how it plays out before you make a call.
Yeah, and we'll see how if they keep pushing their agenda on our community, then eventually there's not going to be any reason to stay there.
No,
like I said, there'll be plenty other people that get canceled, whether it's for their political views or they said the word "shoot" too many times in their posts, or whatever. But in the meantime, you can find plenty of executions, gang murders, prostitution, pornography, all that stuff, which violates their community standards. But they don't enforce.
Oh yeah, right. You could post anything about all the riots and everything else, and you're not going to get in any trouble.
What riots? Those were
those were peaceful protests.
Yeah, peaceful protests.
I'm sorry, that's right. That's why they were peaceful protests. Like we get. I know you never got put in timeout, Cable, but we do because our name is Cutting Edge Outfitters. We get all the time. We get warnings because it says cutting and they think it's about like suicide or self-harm or stuff like that, and so we've got to be even careful about that, like, which I get. I'm not promoting, like, I understand that, but even that, like, there's nowhere to read like what is okay, what isn't okay, what do you want us to post, what don't you. I mean, if you would at least give us I don't know if I'd necessarily follow it anyways, but if they were like, hey, don't do this, don't do that, it would be a little bit easier to walk into that.
I remember back when that cop got killed in eastern New Mexico, when that guy came out with his AR pistol and shot down that cop and just kept shooting him. I remember going through social media, and that was not blocked by any, click here to see this post or whatever else. The next post was some young girl with a buck just posing and cheesing, just happy as can be, a grip and grin. Graphic content blocked by whatever platform. Click
Brace yourself, man.
The post before that was a cop getting freaking murdered.
Yeah.
And shot over and over and over again and you can hear him groaning and everything else, and that was not blocked. But the girl with the 10-point buck was blocked. That made my blood boil. I was upset about that one.
So what's the option? Where do you go? Because I mean, obviously social media, but you also have YouTube is deplatforming people.
No, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, it's all the same.
Yeah.
It's all the same. Getter, I got on Getter when Truth comes out. I already bought stock in that. I don't know if how that platform will do. If they do the same thing that these idiots do and start censoring the left, then they're no better.
Exactly.
Right? So my hope is that whatever the next thing is, that everyone, all ideas are welcome.
Yeah.
We might not agree, but we're not going to censor you.
No.
Because that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's not what America is. That's not what America traditionally has been. Going back to when we were kids, that's not what America was.
Mm-hmm. If somebody said something that was crazy and
just
stupid,
ignored them.
You would just everybody be like, "Hey,
you
look
look
at this
the
crazy asshole!"
Or you
don't do that.
You go punch each other in the alley a couple times,
Yeah.
and then go play backyard football
You
together.
fist fight.
30
It
minutes
was
later, and be
fine.
just fine, right? Like I did that a couple times growing up, right?
You're barking up
whatever.
the wrong tree with Joe Rogan, though.
Oh my
The
god!
guy gets 22. So I think his podcast averages 11 million downloads per episode.
Yeah.
That's 22.
He's
He does
almost
it twice
us.
a week. That's 22 million downloads. You think Spotify gives a shit about Neil Young, Barbara Streisand, Joni
Pack your
Mitchell?
shit and get the hell out of here.
It all combined maybe equals
Most of the people listening to Barbara
500,000
Streisand
downloads a month.
don't know how to don't know what Spotify is.
Right.
Well, I'm just glad. I'm kind of happy about this
She's
because
so
now I
alive.
don't have to sift through much crappy music to get to like
Yeah.
Joe Rogan and the good music
It was
because all the
funny,
other
though.
people have left.
When Neil Young canceled himself, I opened up Apple Podcasts or Apple Music, and Joni Mitchell and Neil Young are on the top of the thing. Like they're like, of course, they're home.
We're
like
here.
The Banner
Right.
children.
Of
Woke
course.
shitheads.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
what is it? Neil Young needs to remember a Southern man. Don't need him around anyhow. I mean, that's been around for a long time.
Leonard was onto something there.
Yeah, he knew what's up.
Yeah, I think they're messing with the wrong dude there because I saw somebody was like, well, what happens if they kick him off? Well, guess what?
He made 100 mil.
He just goes, here's your money, get fucked. I'll go do the same thing. on my own
Rumble
plane."
offered him. I saw
Yeah,
yesterday
100 mil to move right now.
for I think what
For
did they
4 years.
Was his contract with Spotify 10 years
10.
for 100 million?
Mm-hmm. And they offered him 4.
4 years for 100 million.
Yeah.
Do it today.
Here's your
Here.
But
the rest.
I don't want him to leave if Spotify's going to stick to their guns
Yeah,
and
if
say
they'll
we're
stand
not
up
gonna-
for him.
Absolutely.
But they already said they're going to put. So it's a slippery slope.
Disclaimers.
Disclaimer is the beginning of censorship.
Death of a thousand cuts.
And I was pissed that Joe, and I've loved everything Joe's done over the last, basically since COVID. And I wasn't really, I never listened to a show before that, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I listened to him now. I was listening to it on the way over here. Because I think in some weird way, like, he's like the bastion of free speech and fuck censorship
100%.
in this country because he has the biggest platform.
But he also does it in a very, eloquent way almost.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like he doesn't necessarily like if you listen to his podcast, and if you haven't, you really should, because he asks intelligent questions from both sides. He asks intentional questions and if he doesn't like the answer or they kind of do the typical
Skirt it,
political thing and skirt
yeah.
the answer,
He's
he'll
like,
kind of
whoa,
he'll kind of let him skirt it for a little bit and like, okay, well, yeah, thanks, that's a good opinion. Now back to the question I was asking, right? And he keeps pushing and keeps driving to really get to good information and the people he has on are reputable people for the most part, right? I mean, it's good stuff. So I think, yeah, I agree. He's a
Well, they fear what they can't control, and he's too big to cancel.
Yeah.
And that's why they're like this witch hunt that they're on right now. I mean,
Yeah, because at first they went with misinformation. Now they've moved to racism because that didn't work.
Right.
So once this doesn't work, what's next?
that's all they've got to
they'll
stand
call
on.
him
They'll
like a
find
woman
something.
beater or
Probably
something.
they'll find something.
Yeah.
For sure.
Some sort of sex scandal will pop up.
Yep,
somewhere.
that's the next one.
Somehow.
For sure.
But if you ever wanted to take a lifelong Democrat, and I know he voted independent in the 2020 election, but if you ever wanted to take someone that had that mentality, he's already moved to Texas. You go on this witch hunt against him, and it's the left that's doing it. The guy's never going to vote that way again.
Yeah. I mean,
especially now.
I can't.
So thank you very much for that. Far left. You
Hey,
fucked up.
I think that's the thing. They're just absolutely cannibalizing themselves, because it's not like, okay, you're not fine. You want to go after, conservatives. Okay. But now you're cannibalizing yourselves. You're just, you're eating your own.
Yeah.
So what is that doing? I don't know.
We're going to dip our toes in controversy. Wasn't there some data saying a lot of feminist groups are starting to wash their hands of a lot of wokeness because the trans movement has just fucked up women's sports and women's equality in general?
Yeah.
They're just
The
like,
trans movement.
we want equality,
is-
but you people have lost it.
Exactly.
Like, we're done here.
You have a trans
Like, it just- yeah, like,
woman of
it's
the
cannibal- it's-
year. It just shows that a man can do being a woman better.
Thank you, Jordan.
And Jordan for the win.
Are you married?
Yes.
Yes, I am.
And he
Are
has
you
a
going to
daughter.
be when you get home?
Yes, I will.
Just
No, it's gotten out of control. I think everybody should be free and do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anybody. You do you,
Yeah.
But
Don't force you on me.
yeah,
That's the message.
I don't force me on you. You don't force yourself on me. Let's just all move on about it. And have
like
a good
growing
day.
up, we go back to like, did you grow up better, or are kids growing up better now? Question, right? Growing up, what I think America was founded on was that a lot of people we could have in what I'll say better times than we have now.
Yeah.
Opposing views and it not be some polarizing, like we can't share a meal together kind of attitude, right? And that's the problem. I think people should be able to have their opinion. You like, say Cable and I for some reason had polar opposite discussion.
Yeah.
Way left, way right. I don't even care if it's left and right. I don't care what it is, right? But at the end of the day, we can say, okay, cool, shake hands, be gentlemen about it, sit down,
Agree to
have a
disagree.
beer, and continue laughing and joking and enjoying the evening. I think that's what America was founded on in a lot of ways, or maybe not founded on, but grew to be. And we need to get back to more of that, like this all inclusive of everybody to a degree, right? Like, don't force your opinion on them. I'm not saying I'm all for this inclusive movement and all that kind of stuff either. There's obviously right and wrong and all that kind of stuff. I don't think pedophilia is love. Okay, I'm not saying all inclusive from that perspective, but there are certain things that I'm like, we should just be able to agree to disagree and share a meal to a certain degree. But right now, it's like, oh, if you don't agree with me, then we can't even be in the same room together.
Yeah, you're the devil.
You're a racist.
Yeah,
You're
evil.
Racist.
Yeah.
That's the easiest first card to play.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
Well, nowadays, if you're white, you're racist.
Absolutely.
Totally. All the world's problems solved. I told you guys right from the very beginning we were going to do it. This is going to do it. So, so I guess just kind of to round out any big. So we'll kind of go around the room here. How did 2021 as a hunting season go for you, and any big plans for 2022 coming up?
You're looking at me, so I'll start.
We're going to start and go
No
that
one
way.
can see this but us, remember.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
So
Yeah.
who are you talking to?
I'm talking to Cable, I guess. First. So we'll
2021.
go around.
I didn't shoot a whitetail buck. The neighbor shot the buck I wanted to shoot. Good for her.
Yeah.
She was a proper lesbian. She always had a bigger dip in than I did when we were talking. Also, I
Nice.
quit dipping for New Year's, so
How's that going?
I was never addicted to it. I just liked to do it when I was outside, but I wasn't the sit in my office
outside.
and
Yeah.
dip guy,
Yeah.
So I haven't really had any cravings. It hasn't been very hard.
So I'm in the same, got a 6-year-old boy, 4-year-old boy, and a 2-year-old boy. And it's like, I need to not be spitting into a bottle walking around the house. And then, I'm outside at the ranch and running around. Well, Dad, why are you putting dirt in your mouth? Right? And they're starting to ask me these questions. I'm like, all right, I got to stop. But so I'm trying to put the physical can away, and I went to these nicotine pouch things. Problem is, I just do those 10 times a day. I'll just have them in constantly all day. But, so I was just curious how that was going for you.
It's going good so far.
My daughter, when she was 3, I dipped a lot, and she'd follow me around spitting like I was around the yard. and
I can
these
totally
guys
see
know my
that.
daughter, and it's hilarious. And I quickly stopped dipping around her and quit in general.
I feel like she would have definitely picked the habit up.
Oh yeah,
You guys would have been like, Dad, where's the Copenhagen?
Well, I quit for 6 years, and then COVID came around, and I was just like, I think I'm going to buy a can of dip. because the world's going to hell. So
He was bored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
did. Now
When
I
I get
quit.
jaw cancer.
I wounded an elk for the second year in a row, so that was cool. And like 340-inch bull in New Mexico.
Wow.
I shot him. I ranged the tree. It was like, here he comes, 40 yards. Shot him for 40 yards. When like an hour later, kind of like let him go die. I told the guy that was calling. I was like, he was like, you smoked him. He's dead. I was like, yeah, I've got great penetration. You could see the arrow sticking out. It was buried in him. But I was like, it was a little high from where
Yeah.
he ended up being 32 yards away. You could see very clearly where he spun and turned and shot him for 40 yards. He was 32 and it's like 4 inches high. So anyway,
Got the
that
job
was a
done.
bummer, but
Yeah.
I was in elk every day, saw elk every day. I wouldn't trade the experience. Shot some ducks, went to Africa twice. So that was really, shot a Cape Buffalo. That was probably the highlight.
How big
Yeah.
is your cape? If you don't mind me asking.
Dude, I don't even know. It didn't even measure. Just
Okay.
old
It's like
with-
this
He
big.
just
Just
but he's
big.
bigger than my cape,
Just a
right?
Dougable
Because I don't
couch
have
for
one.
you.
Yeah. That was awesome. Shot a giraffe. Cost me a relationship in the hunting industry. Found a new one. And that worked out for the better for me. And then have something cool for next year. I'm going to hunt axis deer in Maui in May. Back to Africa in July. And then something I'm really excited about. I've never shot a big mule deer. I've shot a couple small ones, DIY, public land stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go to Sonora, Mexico, and hopefully shoot a giant.
Booner.
So
Big mule
that's what I'm
deer
looking
is-
forward to. Oh,
Yeah.
and burn my Wyoming point, so I'm going to hunt elk. Hopefully not wound another elk. But it was weird. I missed an elk my first time, went 3 years, boom, 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 success. And then I think I'm on a 3-year drought of either missing or wounding.
Yeah.
So
It's weird how that works.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the name of the game. Or you can just go sit in a bar for a couple days like I do. You never wound them.
you can't kill them from the bar.
No, you can't. No, you can't. So,
That's funny.
what about you, Danny?
Oh man, my hunting. So as an outfitter, those that can't do guide. No, I'm kidding. What do we have? So I've got a ton of hunts like just booked that we're guiding. But my personal hunting, I guess the only hunt that we really have tentatively booked is a third season elk hunt in Colorado. Rifle.
How cold is that?
I'm not saying any more, Kyle.
I was
see
going
you
to say,
looking
that's
at me.
enough information.
How
I know.
cold is it?
I know.
Right there.
It's got to be absolutely just freezing.
It's
Are you down in lower elevation?
that's
Oh,
enough
Yeah,
information.
it's enough information.
Thank you.
How cold was the bar this year?
Thanks, Matt Ranella.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of spot burn,
If you could drop a pin.
Yeah, no, I'll give you a pin to our camp. No. A couple years back, Kyle and I went in here during bow season, and it was, that was second week or third week of September, and we went way back in there, just the two of us on foot. And we were in elk, and there were good elk in there, and it was probably that one night it got pretty cold, down to probably in the 20s, maybe high teens.
It got down to about low 20s.
Low 20s,
It was
high
definitely
teens.
enough to where you wanted to sleep with your water filter to not risk creepy crawlies.
Yeah, and then so I would imagine that. Well, we hunted third season a couple times too, and it,
Well, yeah, we were pushing foot and a half of snow some days.
yeah, but it's not bad. It's different. It's a different kind of cold. It's not
Yeah.
It's not a Texas cold,
way
like a
different.
Colorado
Wet.
cold.
Yeah.
The wind bites, so you
Yeah.
got to have good gear that's gonna cut the wind. But it's not bad, honestly. I mean, it's just like layering or anything else. The biggest thing is, like this beer that I'm drinking is definitely not going to help. Like we have a pretty good ritual of like we stop drinking for 30 days
Yeah.
before, and like taking baby aspirins and like prepping for it, because the elevation, the wind, that kind of stuff, that's what'll get to you.
Yeah.
It's not so much the cold, in my opinion. But yeah, I think, and then I guess,
dedication. 30 days, no booze
Hey,
for
man.
a hunt.
I
Absolutely, every
Yeah.
single year.
every year. And
Or
like
coffee.
when I was guiding in Colorado, it was the same thing. Like I would tell hunters when they would come out and hunt with us, I'd say, "Hey, you can bring booze to camp if you want, but we are sleeping in like outfitters' tents and everything else. And if you're drinking that night, we're not morning hunting, and I'll let you know by lunch if we're going to go for an afternoon hunt, because people can get altitude sickness and you don't even realize it. It just creeps up on you, and then you get yourself in a pretty tight spot in some of those backcountry areas. And we do like full on backcountry hunts where you're packing it all in. Other than
Can't
that,
get altitude sickness. You're not in altitude.
oh, that is not true. I have drank plenty in the bars in Colorado, and I guarantee you that was alcohol sickness, not too many whiskey sicknesses. And then the only other one is like I've got Africa in February of 2023, I guess, but that's technically not 2022.
You can brag about it though. It's cool.
I'm not bragging about it. I've had it on the books for 2.5 years. My goal was to go with my grandfather before he turned 80, and then COVID hit the year he turned 80, and so we put the deposit down, and we just had to roll it. He had some stuff go on, and so long story short, we had to push it into February 23. But so we got that, and then I don't know. I'll definitely whitetail hunt somewhere.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I'm looking at Kyle. Like, do we have anything else that we've
antelope?
Oh yeah, we're gonna do an over the counter archery antelope hunt, and possibly an over the counter smoke pole mule deer hunt in Oklahoma.
Basically, we're gonna waste 4 days in Colorado trying to chase antelope with
low crawling through rattlesnake country in August. It's fun. But yeah, other than that, that's kind of that's it.
What about you?
Oh, you think me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Everybody's
like
heard
everybody
everybody
pretty
else.
much knows that my duck season sucked. Teal season was awesome, and I hope to do cool stuff next year.
Yeah. What about you, Kyle?
Personally, 2021 was the worst year of hunting that I have ever had. It was the first year in about 4 or 5 years that I haven't gone on either an elk or mule deer hunt. And the first time that I wounded a buck, turns out my rifle was sighted in about 6.5 inches high, and I checked it on an 8-inch plate at 100 yards, and never have done that before in my life. Usually it's sandbags on a paper target, making sure that it is sure enough, Mickey Mouse ears at 100 yards. And this year I got lazy because of us being busy. Put it on a bench, shot an 8-inch plate, and said, all right, smoked it, I'm good. Went out and had a buck that had a condition called bottle jaw, basically an infection in the back of the throat that'll make it to where they can't eat too much, and they'll either get to a point where they can't eat and die of starvation, or it'll get so inflamed that they actually can't breathe. And we got this buck on camera. It saw the telltale signs of just looked like a softball in the white patch of his throat. And that deer came out, and I said, all right, I'm going to smoke him. He wasn't an old deer. He was probably 4.5, but he was a good 15 inches wide and had good tall G2s.
Good 10 point.
It was a good 10 point. Would have been a great deer as he got older, but with that condition, he wouldn't live through the year. So shot him. He dropped like a sack of potatoes. Had it all on film, and he kicked around for a minute. And so I was sitting with a friend of mine at the time, and then packed up and started walking up there and talking to them, and looked up about 3/4 of the way up the hill, and the deer's gone. And look back at the film, and you can see it at the last 2 frames. He gets up, and you can see him running away. And so I looked around there, tried because you could see the bullet impact right around his spine, and so I thought he might have just drug off into the woods somewhere, and I had to put him down. But he showed back up on camera about 21 days later, with a big old nasty hole on the backside of his spine, resilient animal,
tough old deer. Yeah. Not even old, but tough.
I haven't seen him since, so I'm a little bit concerned that he wound up coyote bait. But that was tough. And again, missing Western hunts. Professionally, it was one of the best years of my life. Yeah. I mean, we had a very successful year at Cutting Edge Outfitters, and put down some really nice deer this year. Good exotics. Had some phenomenal people out from all over the country, and I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. But personally, it definitely did have an adverse effect on my personal hunting this year.
That's the way it works, right?
Oh, like I said, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was
I mean, half the hunts that we sold for 2022 were repeat clients from 2021 that were like, "Hey, we had a great time. We're coming out," and they before they left gave us their deposit for next year. So that's a big compliment to us. So professionally, like you said, it's a great deal. But then we look at it, and because we don't, this is
You don't really get to
This is
go
the application season,
elk
right?
hunting
We're
in
in
July.
application season right now, right? Well, we don't miss that, and there's usually quite a bill at the end of application season that we've put in, and we had phenomenal tag soup this year. But
I wanted to add one thing because my son would kill me. He won't listen to this podcast, but he shot his first buck this year. And so once the neighbor shot that deer, I was after it. And I got derailed by talking about how he quit dipping. I made it all about him, and he shot a nice 8-point in South Texas, which I think, and he told me afterwards, he was like, Dad, you were shaking more than me. And I was. I remember looking through the binos and was like, oh, shit, that's the deer. And we had a very specific hit list of which deer we were allowed to shoot. And it was probably 120-inch, 8-point, 6.5 years old. And he smoked him with the 243, dropped him in the Sendero. And that was probably, honestly, cooler than shooting the kid buffalo.
Do you mind me asking how old he was when you shot first deer?
Henry shot a doe last year when he was 7.
Okay.
And then he shot a buck this year when he was 8.
My oldest is 6, and he's Elmer Fudd with his little 22 cricket right now. Any rabbit that steps out doesn't stand a chance, right? Yeah. He's like, nope, we're getting it, and he'll just shoot and whatever. He's got a great time.
So has he asked? So
he's
based
begging.
off of what I do for a living, I never pushed it on him.
I didn't either. No, I don't either.
He said, I want to shoot a deer.
Yes. So my wife didn't grow up in the hunting industry. Had nothing against it, but just didn't grow up in it. And she's like, well, what if your kids don't want to hunt? And I was like, well, that's fine. Like that doesn't mean I'm not going to. It means I'll probably hunt less because I won't be, like, I'm still going to be around to do everything that they want to do. But I got 3 boys that, like my 2-year-old, he loves the ranch, but he loves just driving around on the tractor. He asks me every day, like if I throw my cowboy hat on, he's like, you going to go drive the tractor, Daddy? You going to go drive the tractor? No, I'm not going to drive the tractor, right? But, so they just love being out there. My 6-year-old is wearing me out, Dad, because he's got this. I'm not big on video games, but he's got a Nintendo Switch or something like that. He has 2 video games on it. He's like Big Bucks, like the game you can like put quarters in at the bar or whatever. And it's got like the orange rifles that come out of it. We can get that on there. And then he's got another hunting game, and that's all he plays. And he kills everything in that. Dad, I just killed this big bull moose. Dad, you got to come look at this, Dad. And so I was like, Dad, I'm killing them all the time on my video game. Why can't I go out and hunt real deer with you? And so the deal I had with he's 6, turning 7 in May. I told him, I said, all right, if you can kill a pig, because he hasn't killed a pig yet. And so I'm going to set up, Kyle's got a good 308 AR-10. I've got some other ARs that I can put that stock way down and it'll fit him well. Little recoil, let him get really used to shooting small game. And I said, if you can kill 1 or 2 pigs, then maybe we'll talk about shooting a doe or something like that this year. And as soon as I said doe, he was like, seriously, a doe? And I was like, seriously? You're 6. I was like,
dude, if it doesn't have dual drop times, I'm not even going out.
Yeah, I'm like, who are you?
What are we doing, Dad?
Yeah. I'm like, who are you? So, no, that's why I was just curious where you're coming from. So, yeah, I'm hoping like that. Talking about my 2021 season or 2022 season, that could be the highlight of it. If we get to that point, like we're going to work on it, we're going to spend some time at the range, we're going to shoot, get them used to it. But yeah,
you have a suppressor for him?
I do.
Okay, that's cool. Because he shot the doe with the 22-250, and then I got a suppressor and shooting the 243
suppressed.
He liked it. He shot my 6.5 with suppressed. Was cool with that. And then I said, "All right, you want to try the 7 mag?" He was like, "I don't want to shoot that one again." He shot it. I was like, "Nope, that's too much."
Yeah, and that's kind of what the way I'm with. Like, I push him to a degree, not in hunting, but in like just in general. But if he's like, nope, I'm not ready for that yet. Cool. Whenever you're ready, let me know. So I'm just curious. But yeah, he's like chomping at the bit, like
that's the way
kind of mad at me that I haven't taken
force
it.
Me into things until I'm ready. You're like my dad. You fixed my rifle last time. You know, you helped me with my scope the other day. You know, it's like Dad got my rifle all ready to go for us to go hunt the other day.
It's not a joke. I mean, he really
no, for real. No, it's 100% what happened, and it turned out great.
It was great.
Yeah, I shot it 300 yards. She hit a rock, just like that.
You did.
So
you did great.
Well,
Dad's proud of you.
Dad was. He was very proud. I heard him over there. Like, yeah, you did it, buddy.
There's no way he said that.
Probably said, "Are we done here yet?"
Yeah, like, all right, wrap it up. It's getting hot. Well, I mean, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I know it's a weekday, so everybody's gonna get back to the day job. But so just for anybody who in the short world, for our podcast listeners, for you, Cable, I mean, obviously, if they've heard of us, they've probably heard of you. But where would somebody find you nowadays? Now that Instagram is
Yeah, still have a website.
Okay.
They can't censor that, so just LoneStarOutdoorsShow.com.
Yet.
The new Instagram is just cable_Smith Outdoors, and then just search Lone Star Outdoors Show wherever you get a podcast. So,
Okay.
and thanks for having me, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Oh,
It's
absolutely,
fun.
man.
Yeah. Danny, what about for you guys?
Yeah, so we haven't been shut down on Instagram yet, so we do have the Instagram.
Keep trying. You'll get there.
Yeah, exactly. Keep trying. Yeah. So Cutting Edge Outfitters, just like that on Facebook, Instagram, and we also have a website, cuttingedgeoutfitters.com.
Yeah.
So we all about it, having people out. We got to have this crew out on us one weekend out at the ranch. Bring
If
Henry.
you're listening to this podcast, you've probably heard the advertisement already.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
That's true,
we've
yeah.
talked about y'all 100 times.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Sounds better coming from you though.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know you've been trying to get us out there. That's 99% on us.
When we
Just schedules.
when we
schedules.
shut down here, we'll
for sure.
we'll sit down.
That's
and
a
get it
box
on the
that I've got to check. I want to shoot a spotted doe axis. It's a technical term. Yeah, look at what his face does. You see what
It's a
it's
technical
It's so
term.
easy.
Boy, I may go home and punch your mama in the mouth because there ain't no way you came from my loins.
Yeah, so,
give me
hey,
a
seriously,
Diablo
look-
sandwich and a Dr. Pepper.
But yeah, thanks for having us out. This is great. This has
That
been a
was
lot of
fun.
fun. And
Yeah.
cooking supper and the whole nine. That was great. Thank you.
Well, guys, thank you for listening to the podcast. Subscribe to ourselves, our YouTube, and our stuff.
So
I don't know,
better.
I'm just trying to make Jared mad now, and I'm succeeding. I'm just pissing everybody off. It's awesome. But thanks, Q Braley.
Stormwater Creek is the best. Grinch, the captain. Aim, the helper. Jordan, the problem solver. I hope you like Stormwater Creek. Stormwater Creek.